Now, burlesque dancing is something that we all associate with Dita Von Teese, the Moulin Rouge, and even the Pussycat Dolls. And if you haven't been to see a burlesque show, then trust me, you are missing out. And here to tell us all about the Burlesque Cabaret and Social Club in Dublin is producer Carol Byrne. Carol, thank you so much for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me in.
And I think it's safe to say that, you know, the whole burlesque dance and the costume are very much, you know, what people really associate with the whole burlesque scene.
Very, very much so. The character, as much as on stage, it's off stage as well, because the audience are pretty much half the show, which is why the social club idea come around as more of an interaction meeting, and the crowd are pretty much as glamorous as the performers on the stage.
Very good. And I mean, there is an awful lot of, you know, the corsets and the garters and the suspenders. I mean, you know, people might have the misconception that it's almost like a glorified striptease, but is that fair to say?
Wouldn't be completely unfair. It's definitely more tease than sleaze, but from many years ago, a little bit of experience with stripper troupes, and there are quite, you know, some major differences in it. The end result, and you don't have an anorak crowd coming in and just like, oh, enjoying themselves, but it's a lot more glamorous. But you know, essentially, it's, you know, there's an idea, a structure to the routine. You get a lot more costumes and ideas. One of our performers, Sophia Swan, just did a brilliant Tinkerbell routine, which had a Captain Hook, and there's a whole scenario laid out. A music producer, boyfriend produces the music.
Oh wow!
We had like Snow White's Little Red Riding Hood. But you'd find these commonly throughout. So any burlesque show in Europe, some girl's gone to do one of the, like say, Disney characters, very popular. But a good theme behind the act with the costume definitely helps.
And do you think, you know, the likes of, you know, Dita Von Teese has kind of brought a little bit more class to burlesque? Because, you know, she is beautiful, and, you know, it's almost like artistic what she does.
Yeah, herself and like the British counterpart would be a Modesty Blaise.
Okay.
She's very big at the moment, and just recently brought out a film that was shown in Screen Cinema. I didn't get to see it myself, but a lot of friends went down. I've worked with her a few times over the years over in the Begal Club, and same as most people, Dita Von Teese and herself have done a massive amount for burlesque. And I believe there's a film in production at the moment that's going to come out either later this year or at the beginning of next year, starring Christina Aguilera.
Oh, yeah.
Called Burlesque, and I believe Sigourney Weaver's in it in some fashion as well. So I just know over the next year that there's going to be a further explosion of burlesque, I think, for the younger generation, as a lot of our audience would say be between 30 and 45. Sometimes we get 18-year-olds coming in as well, and I've had my granny to shows too in her 80s. I've had, I think, the youngest audience member and the oldest audience member there being my daughter and my grandmother at the same time, whilst I was performing with my mum, my aunt and my grandmother in the front row as well. So it
really works for all generations,
yes,
if, you know, if you have an open mind and are up for a little bit of fun.
Well, I think a lot of people find with the open mind it is because burlesque was that people would be whispering it. Now it's very much on the tip of everybody's tongue, and when you're saying it to people now, they don't go, oh, that's stripping. A lot of people are really getting it, and particularly over the last year or more, you can see the rise in interest and understanding in it. You know, before everybody would meet with that skepticism of thinking it was a cheesy strip show, which is so far removed from it.
And there is a lot of singing as well that goes with the dancing as well, because I've seen, you know, that it's more performances as well, not just the dancing. No,
there's a lot more. There's a lot more to it. Some of the shows, and I've worked on them all up in the country over the years. From the Tassel Club started and really brought burlesque in its proper fashion to the country. I know City Channel did a documentary on it a good few years back with Sarah Colohan.
Yes.
And she'd definitely be the mammy of burlesque in Ireland, I think, and that's how I got into it.
But tell me about the actual the club itself, the burlesque cabaret and social club.
Yeah, tell us about that. Of course. Yeah, well, we have a 6-piece band called the Burlesque Choir Band, and I wanted to bring in a full-on live vibe to it. With the other shows, it'd be backing tracks and a bit of DJing in between, and then backing tracks with the performers. And with the singers that we have available, we have 2 resident house divas, and then we have the fabulous Miss Kristen Capelli comes and sings to us regular. They also work as Baby Vega, so having that swap between the acts and the music, and people are up and down dancing, and then relax, watch a few other things. It gives a more interactive feel to the whole night, which they seem to really like and respond.
Great, and I think, you know, the fact that there is so much Irish talent out there is really interesting, and, you know, the club is kind of nurturing that talent.
That's one of the main. I've always loved seeing people getting up on stage for the first time, especially if they didn't realise they could do it or just had an inkling they could. And there's some people now that I'm I'm kind of nagging and nurturing for April and May and June. That can be getting ready. Some of them are waiting to finish exams, and then they're going to put the time and effort in, and others the same. Some people just say, yeah, go on, and they can have them up on stage in a few weeks. But it's been a little bit of an interesting, a little bit of a tough road trying to find some of the talent and encouraging them. But there's definitely more and more available, and I was determined that I shouldn't be flying in at great expense performers from the UK when we can work with the people here. And there's not enough good stages for people to get on either. And that's something I really want to encourage. Anybody that has an idea, and it doesn't have to be stripping or burlesque, any form of cabaret, a fabulous singer that prepares, our band will work with anybody that wants to do it and feels they can, should talk to me, because if they're right, we have a certain standard. It's not the X Factor. But, we have a certain standard, but we don't expect international world-class performers. Once the people that will put on a good performance, the crowd will enjoy most of what's put in front of them. They're just such fun-loving people.
And how much rehearsals go into the overall show, and how long is the show itself?
The show would be run between 11 and 3, but there'd be about 2.5 hours of a show, plus then DJing on either side.
That's
of it.
a long time.
It is. On the first night, the entire show lasted a solid 3 hours between band and performance. And I'm trying to put on as much as possible, and you can stretch the whole night out. The late night format seems to have worked very well too, going from 11 through till 3. Because with the other shows, it's from 8 till 11, and suddenly it's cut. So the club changes over to something else, and then you went, right, what are we going to do next?
Well, you're all dressed up.
You're all dressed up. So.
And you're kind of going,
I
wish this was running on a little bit later.
But also now, I'm going to now from May, I'm going to take the Sugar Club from 8 o'clock right the way through till 3 o'clock.
Oh, right, okay.
Do like a 3-part show, maybe put some comedians and fashion show in there as well. There's a lot of great organisers. So, once again, building in more interaction for everybody.
And how often is the show happening? Is it every week? Is it once a month?
Once a month. With the other shows as well, it was once every 3 months. Mm-hmm. And, generally, it's 4 times the price of what my night cost as well. That was the other thinking behind the social club, is keep it affordable for everybody. Cause
we're in a recession.
Well,
we hate saying it, Carl, but it's true.
You look at the outfits of some of these people, you wouldn't think so. When I brought my girlfriend out on a first date last year, and I thought it was great because I was getting free tickets into a venue, and I was saving $40 for her. And then she went out and spent €300 in a corset for the night. So it kind of
well, women will be women,
I know, but she's got quite a few more since then, actually. But it's, because in a recession, you can't tell by some of the outfits the people are wearing. You really can't. But then again, it's you don't mind spending money on your clothes. I mean, you don't necessarily want to spend a fortune going in at the door.
That's true. And if people wanted to find out more information, where can they do so?
Burlesque and Cabaret socialclub.com, or they can find us on Facebook as well. But I think at this stage, if you went onto Google, typed in Burlesque Cabaret, pages from Ireland, we're going to pop up.
Great stuff. Well, listen, the very best of luck with all the shows to come. And thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Carol Byrne there from the Burlesque Cabaret Social Club. And if you do want to find out more information about it, do log on to their website. It's coming up there on the screen. Now, we're going to take a quick break. Still to come, Martin Byrne will be joining me in studio to talk us through gizmos and gadgets. See you in part 2.